Hello, I'm Cole Powell, award-winning singer-songwriter from Random Mind Records. If you enjoy what you hear, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, click the bell for notifications. Consider supporting us on Patreon for exclusive perks, including polls and long-form reactions. Also, be sure to check out our brand new arts and media podcast, Words Like That, hosted by me, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, now I'll shut up and get to it.
Can't handle words like that. Words like that. No, no, no.
All right, folks, the full reaction to this is going to be a Patreon exclusive. I may chop this up and put a version on YouTube, so if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to see the full version, go on to Patreon. We'll try to have a link in the description. BAYOU Country, CCR, their sophomore record, turned 55 just a few days ago from the time we're recording this. Creedence Clearwater Revival, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you know that's my favorite artist of all time, collectively with John Fogerty as a solo artist, because I really love his solo catalog. Also, this was the record where they really came into their own. I did a 55th anniversary re-listen to their self-titled debut last year, and in that you could kind of see the seeds being sown for what would become the CCR swamp sound. Well, this record is when they really came into their own, led by the songwriting chops of John Fogerty and his vocal stylings and the overall production sound. Love this record. Can't wait to re-listen to it and see how it stacks up. It's been a long time since I listened to it all the way through, probably 5 years ago. I re-listened to it on its 50th anniversary and published a review on my website, which might be available on Internet Archive. It's no longer available on my website because we upgraded and I lost a whole bunch of articles I'd written on there over the years. But anyway, super excited to check this out again for the first time in a while. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. This is BAYOU Country, the opening track, Born on the Bayou. There's Fogerty's howling vocals. You hear Tom over here on the left, John on the right on guitar. Great opener, really sets the tone for the record. This is where Fogerty took kind of that darkness that he was playing with on their opening record, where he had some kind of, it was kind of like a alternative blues rock. I've described it as before on that first record. Something that I feel like really was odd, different, unique at the time. It did well, mainly on the strength of Susie Q and I Put a Spell on You, which were both covers. But the original material didn't really go anywhere because it was kind of odd for the time period. This track, however, Fogerty is really honing in on the darkness and the blues and the rock sound to create this swampy mystique. He was playing around with it on Susie Q, was playing around with it on I Put a Spell on You, which were both covers. And he was also playing around with it on some of the original tracks, but some of the originals were a little less commercially accessible. This one, he's really starting to hit his mark here, making his patented sound that would kind of define CCR, define the whole genre of swamp rock, and also define Fogerty as his career has continued. Great track, 5-minute cut, kind of a little bit of a jam session. It goes right in there to be with like an Allman Brothers type sound, but distinctive. It's funny though, this was B-side to Proud Mary, which was their biggest hit, instant standard. The B-side didn't perform well, but Born on the Bayou was not a hit at its time. But since its release, it's become a rock radio staple. I think this song, more than any, if somebody asked you to define CCR's sound, I think they would point to this for that sound. All right, up next is Bootleg. Again, it's dark, southern, swamp vibe. This is really good. He's talking about the forbidden fruit that humanity gravitates towards. A great track here. This was an album cut. It wasn't very well known, although if you've watched The Longest Yard, Adam Sandler remake, that actually plays over one of the scenes. Again, Fogerty here is creating this ethereal, shadowy swamp atmosphere. It goes right into the motif, the name of the record, Bayou Country, the theme of the record. If you listen closely to the lyrics, though, there's more below the surface here. The term bootleg, like bootleg liquor, illicit, he's talking about the forbidden fruit that humanity's always going after and how it's more fun when something is illegal or taboo to do and to pursue than it would be if it was acceptable. And that's what this song's talking about. Great, great stuff. All right, track number 3. This is Graveyard Train. Again, another dark, dark song. Great effects on his vocals there. Here's a great harmonica. Fogerty. I talked about Bruce being an underrated, Bruce Springsteen being an underrated harmonica player. Fogerty also incredibly underrated harmonica player. Great ghost story. A little bit repetitive for me personally. I still think it's a great track. The repetition actually, again, helps get the point across of this almost like a funeral dirge type thing, but it's also very much in a folk and a spiritual type quality with the song structure. Verse, no chorus, telling this story very mournfully. It's going to be inmates on death row. Really, really great stuff there. And that's the end of side A. So we only had 3 tracks on side A. Born Bayou was 5 minutes long. That cut was over 7 minutes. So that's all they had room for on the vinyl. We're going to start the second half, side B, and we're kicking off with a cover of Little Richard's Good Golly Miss Molly. Let's do it. So what they've done, they've taken the classic Little Richard track, which is a straight up rock and roller, and added a blues rock edge to it. Yeah. Great cover. They were put on the map by their unique cover versions with Susie Q and I Put a Spell on You from the first record. This was a Little Richard classic, big hit for him. And they took it and put that hard edge blues rock stamp that they had developed by playing in bars and clubs before they really hit it big with that first record. And this is fast-paced, up-tempo. And even though you could say, well, Susie Q and I Put a Spell on You were also blues rock tracks, those were slower and darker. This was up-tempo, in-your-face, rocker. John just howling at the top of his lungs. I mentioned the double track hard pan effect was just excellent. The guitars are screaming. He's shredding, which we haven't really gotten to hear on this record so far. Also, that was a great opener for the B-side. Just come out, smack you in the face, straight up, throw some cold water on you. Great opener for side B. Up next, Penthouse Pauper. This is a little known track. It's an album cut. This is another blues rocker. This is one of my favorite album cuts. It would definitely be in a top 10 album cut for me. Even the storytelling is very much in the blues vein, particularly when he gets down to the last verse and you understand what the term Penthouse Pauper actually means. So here we go. Great drop down line. Great dynamic choices there. The second half of this record so far, the first half we had that stark swamp mystique that I talked about, and this one still got that, but it leans heavily on the hard-edged blues rock aspect of it that we didn't really get in that first half. Not one of their popular tracks, deep cut, super deep cut, even among CCR fans. This was actually one of the last CCR songs that I heard that I had not previously heard. All right, the star of the record, the standard, everybody watched this, probably knows this song. Proud Mary. Fogerty wrote this, and it was an instant standard. It was picked up by everybody. Everybody covered it. Bob Dylan said it was the best song of the year, 1969. Tina Turner, of course, remade it and had a huge hit with it. It's in the key of D, but the chord progression starts out C, A, C, A, C, A, G, F, staying there for just a little bit, and then go to the D. It's crazy, insane chord progression. And Fogerty said that he wrote it like that because that was the sound of the riverboat wheel to him. I thought that was just genius. So here we go, Proud Mary. There's that chord progression. That's the riverboat wheel turning. Smooth solo. Great lick. Great classic track. That was the hit. That one hit number 2. Their first number 2 hit. At one point, they were in the Guinness Book of Records for having the most number 2 hits, or maybe top 10 hits without ever having a number 1, and it's just crazy. And some of the tracks that kept them out of the number 1 spot, it's like, okay, well, I get it. They really didn't deserve that number 1 over that track. But a lot of them, it was like, really, that song beat CCR the number 1 spot? Proud Mary was the name of the ship. This was about a poor person hitching a ride on the riverboat because it's glamorous. It's kind of calling to him. It's easy life. It's playing into the swamp mystique, a little bit different than what we've heard so far, but still it sounds like that this band is steeped in Southern culture from Louisiana specifically, even though they're actually from El Cerrito, California. Fits right with the theme of the record, but also offers a little bit differentiation in sound. This is definitely has a more mainstream, accessible feel to it. It isn't as rocky and as dark or as bluesy as some of the other tracks on the record. This is actually probably one of my least favorite tracks on the record, but it's fantastic. Again, it was instant standard. I was just reading an article from the end of 1999, published by BMI, the most played songs on radio and television in the 20th century. And I'm not sure if that was across the board or just the songs that were managed by BMI. I'm not 100% on that. Regardless, Proud Mary, I think, was like number 24, 25 most played song on radio and television in the entire 20th century. That's a testament to its accessibility and John's ability to create great material. So yeah, excellent track. This is the album closer, and this is going to kind of return to more of the sound of the first half of the record. This is called Keep On Chugling, and one of the things that Fogerty did occasionally, he would drop a word or a phrase in one song and then have an entire other song in which that word or phrase was the main line and the title of the song. So in Born on the Bayou, he said, wishing I were a fast freight train just a chuggling on down to New Orleans. So you got this, it's like a play on the word chugging, like chugging on down, chug. Okay. Then he wrote a song called Keep On Chugling, which closes the record out. And in this context, chugling means like it's almost a dance within the context of the song. My big complaint with this one, I knew the live in Europe version first, and even though the sound quality on the recording of their live stuff is not that great, it was so raw, and the song itself is so raw, it really lent itself to the song. And that's true with some of their other live recordings like Midnight Special from the concert. And it's a 13-minute cut that version is, and he breaks out in the middle into another one of their album cuts called Pagan Baby, but it's slowed down from the studio cut, and it's just John on the harmonica while Stu and Doug are playing bass and drums. And that's to me, that's like the definitive version. I also really enjoy Fogerty's version from his Long Road Home tour. I think I called it the Long Way Home, or it's Long Road Home. So because I do those first, I really love those. This cut isn't that great to me, but it's the original and it's still good. And it became essentially CCR's Freebird for their live set, and that's why it ended up turning into that 13-minute cut by the time they got to the end of their run on their European tour in I think that was 71. So here we go. This is the closer to the record, Keep On Chewlin'. Dark, mysterious, southern.
Keep on chewing. Keep on chewing. Keep on chewing. Chewing with the night. Here come Louis, works in the sewer, Lord.
Here comes Louis, works in the sewer.
Keep on chewing.
Such a ridiculous line, but it works so well in this track.
Keep on chewing.
Yeah, he's tearing that harmonica up. My uncle made the observation one time that Fogerty plays the harmonica just like he plays the guitar. He just rips it. Great close to the record. And CCR, they were and kind of are really known as a singles band. But they had some great album cuts. They had some great overall albums. I felt like this was a very coherent album in terms of sound, in terms of theme. Fogerty knew exactly what he wanted to make with this record. He wanted it to be dark. He wanted to evoke imagery of kind of a fictionalized version or an idealized version of the American South, or a particular type version of the American South, where it's dark and you're in the woods and a swamp and there's magic, you're on the river, and it is the definitive swamp rock album. I don't think anybody has made a better swamp rock record. And even when they kind of veered out of the swamp and leaned more of the hard edge blues stuff, it was great. I don't think it's their best record. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's their best record. I think Cosmo's Factory is their best record, which, if I'm still doing this in a year, will check that one out. That was a 1970 release. It'll be 55 years next year. But Fogerty really found himself, I feel like, on this record, found his sound. This is, to me, their contribution to the American rock music scene. I love it. Hope you did too. Y'all stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.